All right, strap in, because this one spiraled from a tiny typo into a full-blown rabbit hole. We're talking Brushista, or should I say Frushista, and what that single letter might be telling us about Banban 8, Banban 9. Cold open. I'm lurking the Discord like usual. Someone asks Ferris, is Brushista going to be in Garten of Banban 9? And Ferris comes back with, Frushista has already been there since Garten of Banban 1. He sends it, he doesn't edit it, he doesn't correct it, it just sits there. Now, you can call that a typo and move on, or you can be like me and start building corkboard theories with yarn across 6 chapters. So let's do the fun version. First, the name, Brushista, obvious, the painter. Frushista is not a random fat finger. B and F aren't even neighbors on the keyboard. That's a choice. Fru reads like fresh, final, finish, dev words we've heard tossed around when they talk about last pass polishing. If Brushista is the one who paints, Frushista could be the one who finishes. That's not just semantics, that's job description. The character isn't simply making art, she's freshening the world right before we see it. That lines up eerily well with how Banban rooms feel just arranged when we arrive. Second, Ferris said since Garten of Banban 1. Not since 8, not coming in 9, but since 1. That's the part everyone's sleeping on. If we take him literally, we've been looking at her without looking for her. So what does a world finisher leave behind? Consistent strokes, tiny double lines under letters, a habitual curl at the end of arrows, cross-hatching in places that shouldn't have it, metal, glass, layer ghosts, newer paint barely covering older signage, letters bleeding through, old warning icons misaligned under the fresh ones. Palette bias, a particular highlight tone that shows up in posters, murals, and even hazard stripes, no matter the chapter. Not the main mascot colors, her own tool color. Timing tells, posters that predict events or report them as if they already happened. If the art knows more than the cast, the artist is ahead of the timeline. This is your Frushista field guide. If Ferris's line is a breadcrumb, we can track it chapter by chapter. Screenshot weird overlaps, log hex codes of repeating highlights, tag the corners of murals where a little flick like a signature keeps repeating. If we build the map and it points back to early rooms, he wasn't kidding. Third, why say it now? Because Chapter 8's art direction is most realistic so far. The world looks finished. That's exactly when you finally give the finisher a name. My bet is 8 puts our fingerprints everywhere and 9 puts a body to the brush. Fourth, mechanics. If she's drawn everything, don't waste that as background flavor. Make art a system. Ink in pathing. Hallways start as white boxed outlines. As you approach, lines ink in and doors paint themselves open. Eraser puzzles. You carry a UV or solvent lamp, wipe her fresh layer to reveal old roots the facility tried to hide. That's lore through paper. Live red lines. You solve something wrong, she slaps a bright correction X across the room, literally redlines your mistake, and you hear the marker squeak. Photo scrapbooks. You collect layered posters, peel them to reveal the original beneath, old mascots, old safety rules, old warnings that contradict the new ones. That's lore through paper. You see how that bridges 8 into 9. 8 shows you the finished world and whispers someone is doing this. 9 introduces the someone, whether that's Brushista, Frushista, or a dual identity. Fifth, dual identity theory, because I think this is where we're heading. Brushista is the role, the artist department. Frushista is the entity, the finisher you meet. 2 names for 2 states, the invisible crew and the on-screen character. That also makes sense of the trademark existing while trailers never show her face. The work is public, the worker is not. Yet. Sixth, the typo as wink pattern. If you've watched Ferris long enough, 2 recurring hints are a mistake he leaves unfixed and a throwaway term he repeats days later. If we see Frushista again in chat, same spelling, that's your promotion from maybe typo to canon tease. If it never appears again, file it under Chaos Ferris, but keep your screenshots because his accidents have a habit of aging into lore. Seventh, the green hand argument from teaser 4, because it intersects with this. Somebody asked if it's bitter giggle. Ferris slaps the can't answer game/lore sticker again. Overused sticker, yes, but it means not saying yet. My call is still Varza over bitter giggle, and here's the tie-in. If Brushista is the sense maker, signage, murals, finished spaces, it's elegant design story to pair her with a new physical disruptor, Varza, rather than recycling bitter giggle. One orders the stage, the other tramples across it. Watch the finger proportions and surface sheen in that frame. It reads tendon slick. not rubber bulk. 8th, why since one matters emotionally? If Brushista has always been there, it reframes how we think about the facility. We've treated the rooms like abandoned spaces with props left behind. But what if they're curated? What if the posters that soothed us, the arrows that hurted us, the murals that made monsters look cute, were deliberate placements by a finisher who wanted us calm, compliant, and pointed in certain directions? That flips cute art from set dressing to soft control. The pen was the first weapon, not the last. 9th, the personality read. We still don't have a voice, but you can infer personality through mark making. Tidy, consistent alignment, meticulous, rule-bound, a designer's brain. Little winks, goofy doodles hidden in corners. Playful, maybe empathetic. Aggressive cover-ups, thick bars over old warnings. Authoritarian, hiding history. Mismatched layers, rushed, anxious, trying to stay ahead of something worse. If 8 leans hyper-clean, she's confident. If 8 looks weirdly overpainted, she's covering something in a hurry. Either one is a character beat before we ever hear her speak. 10th, the EB Games detour. Quickly because it lit chat, but it's not lore. Someone joked a trivia winner got EB Games for free for life. Someone else said there's a store in their town called EB Games. Ferris replies, same, with the Canadian flag, and then, oh, I thought it was only in Canada. It's a goofy, casual moment. The only takeaway is mood. Ferris was chatty enough to toss flags and jokes and also drop the Brushista line in the same stretch. When he's around, micro hints slip. Pull signal from the chaos, ignore the geography comedy. 11th, practical hunt you can do today. No copium, real tasks. Corner curls. Scan image corners of official posts for tiny brush curls. If you see the same curl in multiple chapters, that's a signature. Stroke weight. Screenshots of text where the outline weight subtly differs between rooms. If the same hand outlined them, we'll spot a rhythm. Overpaint seams, places where a poster's edge has a different gloss than the wall. Fresh varnish over old paint. Zoom in. Fresh layers reflect differently. Arrow grammar, catalog arrowheads, rounded, chevron, blocky. If one style dominates safe roots, that's her hand. Color memory. Pull hex codes from 3 or 4 new-looking murals. If one accent tone repeats across chapters, that's a palette tell. We compiled this, and we either prove Forrest literally meant since one, or we prove he was teasing, which is still a win because then we've built a visual language to catch her the second she shows up. 12th, how this sets up Chapter 9. If 8 is the realism pass and the silent finisher, 9 is the reveal. My money is on a sequence where the level draws itself in front of us. Lines racing along walls, forms blocking a monster, a hand, hers, finally entering the frame to cap a stroke. That's where the name choice lands. If the title card says Brushista, they kept the familiar. If it says Brushista, we're meeting the finisher, the version that has been there since one. 13th, potential twist, dual help, harm. She might be the only reason the place looks clean enough to navigate, but she might also be the reason warning signs keep getting replaced with friendly art. Tidy halls, hidden danger, a designer who believes a smoother experience is a safer experience, even when it isn't. Moral gray, chef's kiss. 14th, quick circle back to the green hand because the pairing matters. Imagine this chapter's rhythm. Brushista guides you with art, Varza interrupts with force. That tug of war keeps you moving, left brain, right brain, read the signs, run from the thing. If that's the dance, watch for spaces where the fresh paint stops abruptly. That could be her boundary, a place she won't or can't finish because something or someone owns that territory. 15th, what would prove Brushista instantly? A diegetic tool. A dropped brush with that signature curl carved into the handle. A satchel with swatches matching those repeating highlight tones. A knocked over can with the exact varnish sheen the posters have. If we see a kit, that's her loadout. If we see a glyph, a little emblem stamped on finished signs, that's her maker's mark. Keep your eyes peeled in dead screenshots and countdown posts. They love to hide tool shots in the edges. Alright, landing the plane. Brushista is not a throwaway misspelling to me. It reads like a roll upgrade. The finisher who has quietly curated the facility since one. Chapter 8's visual realism is the perfect moment to name that finisher without showing her body. Chapter 9 is when the brush meets the frame. The green hand is still Varza in my book, new threat energy, so the chapter is a duet. The artist sets the stage, the intruder smashes through it. The Discord EB Games chatter is mood, not lore. The lore is that one sentence about Brushista, and he let it stand. Your move. Drop your screenshots and timestamps. If you catch repeating corner curls, over paint seams, arrow grammar, or palette echoes across chapters, post them. If you spot a tool, brush, stencil, varnish can in any official frame, that's a flag. And tell me where you stand. Typo, rebrand, or dual identity. And as always, I put a random subscriber on my banner every day. If you want to be next, subscribe to me and the channels on my homepage, Clorenzo, Javanium Citizen, and Charcoal, and leave a comment so I can spot you faster. I'll be back tomorrow with whatever Faris accidentally names next.